Don't you dare try to steal your sister's credit? My mom snapped, her words echoing off the walls like a slap. It was Thanksgiving at my parents' house in Willow Creek, Ohio. The turkey was still in the oven. The living room smelled like pine and cinnamon candles, and the game hummed on low from the TV. The entire scene was a perfect picture of holiday warmth, but I felt frozen. My sister, Lauren, had just run out to grab last-minute candy for the kids' table, a task she announced with the gravity of a diplomat on a critical mission. Of course, she would make even a candy run sound like a sacrifice. My cousin Cassie sat in the corner, quiet, sipping her tea, taking everything in. I stood there with my jaw tight, heat burning under my skin. I wasn't trying to steal anything. I was trying to tell the truth. The confrontation had started so quietly. Mom had been praising Lauren, who wasn't even in the room. "It's just so wonderful," Mom said to Dad, "that Lauren has been able to help us out so much these last few months. I don't know what we would have done." "She's a good kid," Dad agreed, his eyes still on the TV. "Always has been. Couldn't take it. Not again." "Actually," I said, my voice sounding louder than I intended, "I've been helping out, too." Mom turned to me, her smile freezing. "What do you mean, Michael?" "The money," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "I've been the one sending the money for the bills since July." And that's when she said it. "Don't you dare try to steal your sister's credit." Just like that. No questions. No hesitation. Just an immediate assumption that I was lying, that I was jealous. The old, familiar story. Since July, I had been sending my parents money every single month to help with their bills. $500 on the first of every month. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough that I had to skip dinners out with friends, put off buying a new laptop, and say no to things I wanted. Lauren knew this. I had told her. And somehow, in the last few weeks, Lauren had taken the credit. And my parents, my own mother and father, believed her without a single question. I opened my mouth to speak, to defend myself, to show them the app on my phone, but Mom raised a hand. "Enough, Michael. This is Thanksgiving. We are not doing this. Whatever petty jealousy you're feeling, you need to put it away. Today is for family." I glanced at Dad. He looked away, jaw set, offering me no support. He was already disappointed. Cassie shifted in her chair. "Hold up," she said, her voice steady and clear in the tense room. "How do you even know Lauren sent the money? Did you see proof? Did she tell you she did?" Dad scoffed, finally lowering his paper. "Lauren wouldn't lie about that, Cassie. She's not Michael. She's been helping us out. She told us she wanted to handle it." A slow, ugly anger pooled in my chest. It was hot and bitter, and it tasted like 20 years of being the afterthought, the brother who couldn't breathe without getting judged, the son who was always a half step behind. I was done. I was done being the family's designated disappointment. The front door creaked. I heard the rustle of a plastic bag. Lauren walked in, stamping the cold from her feet, smiling like nothing in the world was wrong. "What's going on?" she asked, her eyes darting between my parents' rigid posture and my clenched fists. Everyone looked so serious, and I realized the storm I thought had passed was only just beginning. "My name is Michael Carter. I'm 28 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the good enough child." Lauren, 2 years older, was the star. She was the one with the straight as the student council plaques, the kind of kid teachers praised in parent-teacher conferences while they told my parents I was meeting expectations. I wasn't a bad kid. I just wasn't her. I remember one time when I was 10, I built an entire model rocket for the science fair. I spent weeks on it, sanding the balsa wood, painting it, wiring the igniter. Lauren, who was 12, forgot her project until the night before. She stayed up late and made a baking soda volcano. At the fair, my rocket fizzled on the launch pad, a faulty wire. Her volcano erupted perfectly. My parents told me, "Well, Michael, at least you tried." They took her out for ice cream. When something went wrong in the house, a broken vase, a slammed door, it was always, "Michael, what did you do?" When something went right, a good report card, a cleaned garage, it was, Lauren, we knew you could. After college, I got a job in IT support. The steady, I'm good at it, but it's not flashy. I fix problems. Lauren, on the other hand, became the natural leader at her marketing company and learned to speak like a walking press release. I live in Columbus, not far from Willow Creek. I'm not bitter about working hard. I'm bitter about being unseen while someone else wraps my work in shiny paper, puts a bow on it, and calls it theirs. This summer, my parents hit a rough patch. Dad's hours at the plant were cut. Then a medical bill for my mom's heart monitor tests landed like a brick on their kitchen table. They didn't ask for help outright. They're too proud for that. But I heard it. I heard it in the long silences on our Sunday phone calls. I heard it when Mom said they were thinking about selling Dad's old truck. I heard it in the way Dad's voice was flat when he talked about work. So I did something. I set up an automatic transfer. $500. On the 1st of July, August, September, October, and November. Straight from my checking account to theirs. Enough to cover the sharp edges, to pay that medical bill, to keep the truck. I told Lauren once, in a rare quiet moment back in August. We'd met for coffee and I mentioned it. Hey, I said, just so you know, I'm helping Mom and Dad out with some bills. Don't make a big deal about it. I just want them to breathe easy. She nodded, her eyes soft with what I mistook for understanding. That's so great, Michael, she said, covering my hand with hers. Of course, I get it. Just between us. That was the last pure moment I can remember with my sister. Then, about 3 weeks ago, somehow my parents began to thank Lauren. Started on a phone call. Your sister is just so generous, Michael, Mom said. We're so proud of her. She's really stepped up. The first time I heard it, I thought I misunderstood. I figured maybe Lauren had also sent them money, or maybe she'd bought them a big-ticket item. I let it go. The second time, it was a family text chain. Dad sent a picture of him and Mom out to dinner. The caption read, "Thanks to our wonderful daughter Lauren for treating us. She's taking such good care of her old folks." It stung. I texted Lauren privately, "Hey, what's that about? They think you're paying for things." She replied, "Oh, I just bought them a gift card. Don't worry about it." By the third time just last week, I said something. Mom was on the phone talking about Thanksgiving plans and said, "We're just so grateful Lauren has been handling our bills." "Mom," I said, "I think there's a misunderstanding. I've been sending you money." There was a pause. "Michael, don't be difficult," she said, her voice turned cold. Lauren explained she was taking care of it. Let it go. This Thanksgiving week. Don't cause drama. But the lie kept growing. I could feel it spreading like a stain through the whole house, through our whole family. And there, under the yellow glow of the living room lamp, with my mom's accusation still hanging in the air, I realized the stain had my name on it. They thought I was the liar. Lauren set her shopping bag on the counter and stepped into the room. "What's going on?" she asked again, all bright manufactured concern. She glanced at Mom's flushed face, then at me, and tilted her head with that practiced look of sympathy. "Did I miss something? Michael, you look upset." Mom pointed at me, her hand trembling slightly. "Your brother is trying to say he's been helping us financially. He's trying to say you're a liar." Lauren blinked. Once, twice. Then, she let out a soft, airy laugh, as if I'd just told a confusing but harmless joke. She put a comforting hand on Mom's arm. "Oh, Michael, you misunderstood, didn't you?" She turned to our parents, her face a mask of patience. "I told him he didn't have to stress about it. I told him I had it covered." The sheer, staggering nerve of it made my hands shake. She was twisting my own words, the very conversation where I told her I was helping, and using it as her alibi. "I've been sending you money since July," I said, my voice sharp and low. $500. On the 1st of the month. Every month. Lauren's eyes flicked toward my cousin, Cassie. The audience made her straighten up. She folded her arms. "Well, I've been helping for months, too," she said, her voice losing its sweetness and gaining a hard edge. "I just didn't want to make a fuss. I didn't want to embarrass Mom and Dad by making it a big announcement. The implication was clear. I was classless, and she was graceful. Cassie, who rarely raised her voice, sat up straighter. This seems easy to solve, she said. Can we see something concrete? Screenshots? Bank statements? Anything? From either of you? Dad huffed, turning red. We don't need to see proofs. We know Lauren. We trust our daughter. Do you? Cassie asked quietly, looking right at him. Because you're not trusting your son. Lauren slipped out her phone with a theatrical sigh. Happy to show you, she said, unlocking it. I didn't want to do this, but since Michael is forcing it. She scrolled, tapped, and then held the screen for our parents to see. PDF receipts. From my bank. Every month. Like clockwork. Mom and Dad leaned in. I leaned in too, my stomach twisting. The screen looked official. It had her bank's logo. It showed dates, amounts, and reference numbers. For one dizzying, awful second, doubt tried to worm its way into me. Was I crazy? Did she also send money? But no, the amounts were identical. The dates were the same. Let me see, I said, my voice raw. I took the phone from her hand. She let me. I looked closer. The layout looked right, but the font spacing in the date field felt off. Just a little. And the transaction IDs looked too rhythmic, too clean. 10001, 10002, 10003. Real system-generated IDs are never that neat. They're a jumble of letters and numbers. My stomach rolled. She had faked them. She had sat down and made these. I pulled my own phone from my pocket. My heart hammered in my chest. That's fine, I said. I'll just show you my bank app. Right now. I tapped the icon. The app opened. The logo spun and spun. Then a message popped up. Service unavailable. We are currently experiencing system-wide technical difficulties. Please try again later. I stared at it. No, I muttered. I force-quit the app. I rebooted my phone. I tried again. Come on, come on. Same message. I tried the bank's website on my browser. The whole site was down. Lauren's lips curved into a tiny, perfect smile. Convenient, she whispered. Dad's voice went cold. He'd seen enough. Michael, if you can't back this up, you will apologize to your sister and your mother, and you will stop this nonsense. You have 5 minutes. It felt like I had been shoved to the edge of a cliff, with my entire family waiting to watch me fall. I walked out of the living room, through the kitchen, and onto the cold front yard to keep from exploding. The air was sharp and clean, a stark contrast to the thick, suffocating tension inside. The maple trees in the yard, which had lost their leaves last week, rattled their bare branches like bones in the wind. Inside, the house hummed with the sounds of clinking dishes and clotted, angry silence. It was supposed to be a day of gratitude. All I could taste was humiliation. I tried the bank app again. Same message. We are experiencing a major technical issue. All services, including ATMs, are temporarily unavailable. I stared at the words until they blurred. I could have laughed if it didn't hurt so much. The one time in my entire life I needed proof, the one time I had the truth on my side, the entire digital world snapped shut like a trap. Hey! I turned. Cassie was standing on the porch, coat pulled tight around her. You okay? No, I said, the word coming out rough. I was too tired to pretend. I'm not okay. They think I'm a liar. She faked those receipts, Cassie. I know she did. The transaction IDs were sequential. Cassie nodded slowly. I thought they looked too clean. But, I work in graphic design. It's not hard to make a convincing PDF if you know what you're doing. She hesitated. You want to crash at my place if things get worse? You don't have to stay here. The offer, the simple fact that one person believed me, loosened something in my chest. Thanks. I really might. Michael, she said softly, stepping closer. I've known you my whole life. You don't make up stuff. You're the guy who returns the extra change at the grocery store. But they're dug in. Your parents, They want to believe her story. It's easier for them. And Lauren's proof looks real enough to them. I swallowed hard, the cold air stinging my throat. Who am I if my own parents think I'm a liar? If the family script, written since we were kids, paints me as jealous, petty, and always less than, is it even worth fighting when the judge and jury already chose a winner? The questions bobbed like wreckage in my head. I felt that old, familiar urge to just give up, to apologize just to make the yelling stop, to swallow the poison and call it dinner. But under all that noise, a small, stubborn spark pushed back. I knew what I did. I knew where the money went. I knew the dates. I knew the amounts. I knew the exact pattern of those transfers because I had set a recurring alarm on my phone for the first of each month, and I had watched the confirmation hit my inbox before I even had my second cup of coffee. There it was, a word I had almost forgotten in my panic. Inbox. A thought broke through the fog, quick and bright and clear. The app was down. The website was down. But my email wasn't. I ducked back inside, ignoring the stares from the living room, and slipped into the hallway by the router where the Wi-Fi signal was strongest. My hands were shaking, but this time it was with adrenaline, not fear. I opened my email app and typed the name of my bank into the search bar. A list populated immediately. Clean, plain, boring subject lines from July, August, September, October, and November. Subject: transfer confirmation. Hashtag A83J 29FB. Subject: transfer confirmation. Hashtag G44K 91N2. Subject: transfer confirmation. Hashtag B 91P 30T7. My pulse kicked. I tapped the one from July. There it was. Not a fancy PDF. Just a plain text automated email. Your transfer of $500 to account ending in 7781 has been successfully processed. It had the last 4 digits of my parents' account number. It had a timestamp. I opened August. Same. September. Same. October and November. All right there, crisp and boring and undeniably perfectly real. I almost laughed out loud. I'd been beating my head against the wrong door. The app could crash. The ATM network could sputter. But those emails were a trail of digital breadcrumbs. An immutable record nobody could rearrange or fake. Cassie, I called under my breath. She slipped around the corner from the dining room, her eyes wide. I held out my phone. Her eyes moved over the screen, then widened even more. This is it, she whispered. This is really it. They're timestamped. They're from the bank's official server. Yeah, I said, the first clean, solid piece of relief landing in my chest. This is it. Will they even look? She asked, her voice practical. Or will your mom just say, not now? They will, I said, my voice hard, because I'm going to make them. We walked back toward the dining room. The table was set, the platter of rolls steaming, the cranberry dish sparkling like rubies under the chandelier. The family was starting to sit down. Lauren was at the head of the table near Dad, and she lifted her glass of water. Before we eat, she said, her eyes shining with just the right amount of false humility, I just want to say how grateful I am. Grateful for this family, and grateful that I'm finally in a position to give back. I know the last few months have been tough, Mom and Dad, and I am just so happy I could help. That's enough, I said. It wasn't loud, but my voice cut through her speech like a knife. The room went silent. I walked to the table, set my phone down, and turned the screen so everyone could see. Here, I said, tapping the screen, are the transfer confirmations from my email. July, August, September, October, November, my name, Mom and Dad's account, dates and amounts, all from my bank's official email server. All real. For a second, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then the room began to breathe again, in quick, shallow little gasps. Lauren's smile thinned, her knuckles whitening on her glass. Dad stared at the screen. Mom looked from the phone to me and back again. Felt like a win. Small, fragile, but real. Then the oven alarm dinged, sharp as a bell, and Mom blinked, as if waking from a trance. "After we eat," she said, her voice tight. "The turkey is ready. We will discuss this. After we eat." And just like that, the hope was postponed. And just like that, the truth was being postponed, while the lie was allowed to sit with us for dinner. Dinner stretched for an eternity. The turkey was perfect, golden and juicy, but I could barely taste it. Conversations darted around the table. Football, travel, Aunt Mary's hip, while tension nodded silently beneath it all. Every time I tried to slide the phone toward my parents, Mom would say, "Not now, Michael. We have guests." Dad chewed like he was grinding stone, his eyes fixed on his plate. Lauren, on the other hand, was performing. She was charming. She laughed at our uncle's bad jokes. She asked Cassie about her design work. And then, she leaned toward me, her voice sweet enough for only our end of the table to hear. "I have my receipts too, you know," she said, sipping her wine. "From the app. I can show them again, in perfect PDF form." Her eyes met mine, daring me to blink, daring me to challenge her in front of everyone. I kept my voice calm. "Open one," I said, just as quietly. "Let's read the details out loud. Let's compare your transaction IDs to my email reference numbers." She tilted her head. "Michael, you've caused enough stress for one day. Don't ruin Thanksgiving for everyone." Dad set his fork down with a loud clack on the china. He agreed, his voice rough. Then he looked at me, his face a mask of cold disappointment. "You will stop this. Right now. We have family here." Heat flashed through me. "I'm not the one who lied. Just compare the—" He pushed back his chair, the legs screeching horribly on the hardwood floor. I said stop. The room froze. Somewhere in the kitchen, a coffee pot timer ticked from 10 to 0 and then stopped. The silence it left behind feeling vast and empty. I felt very small and very alone, like a 10-year-old kid with a broken rocket. "Bite your tongue. Be grateful. Don't rock the boat." The old script crawled up my spine. A lifetime of being told to be quiet. Lauren leaned forward again, her voice a soft, venomous whisper. "You should apologize while they're still listening. Just say you were confused. It's the only way out of this." I stared at the congealing gravy on my mashed potatoes and tried to swallow the lump in my throat. I looked around for Cassie, but she was across the table, pinned in a political conversation between two aunts. For a few minutes, I just sat there in that quiet, burning humiliation, the kind that makes your ears hot and your stomach cold. I was trapped. Then the front door opened, and more relatives spilled in. Cousins from Dayton with pies and laughter and kids. The house swelled with noise and bodies and greetings. My small, email-based victory vanished in the wave of chaos. The focus was gone. Lauren was safe. I slipped out of my chair and into the hallway, leaning against the cool plaster wall, alone. For a long, slow minute, there was no plan. There was just the ringing in my ears and the bitter taste of defeat. Alone in the hallway, I held my phone like a compass and forced my breath to level out. I wasn't going to apologize. I wasn't going to let this go. I opened the July email again, then August, then September, memorizing the unique reference numbers. If Lauren had forged PDFs, she would have forged the easy parts. She wouldn't know about the server stamp codes in the email's footer, or the authentication path in the header. Real systems leave weird, complicated fingerprints. My IT support brain latched onto that. Think, I told myself. Make the truth undeniable. Make it physical. The bank app was still down, the website was dead. But I needed something physical, something they could hold in their hands. Then it hit me, the ATM. An ATM could print a transaction history. A mini statement for Mom and Dad's account. That was it. It wouldn't just show a deposit. It would show the source of the deposit. It would show the account number, or at least the last 4 digits of where the money came from. It would show my account. It might be truncated, masked for security, but it would show the last 4 digits. And my last 4 digits were not the same as Lauren's. I stepped back into the dining room, which was now loud with dessert and chatter. I walked right up to my parents, who were standing by the sideboard. "Mom, Dad, I said, my voice steady and clear, cutting through the noise just enough. Let's go to the ATM. Right now. Mom opened her mouth to protest. Michael, we have guests. But she stopped. Dad's eyes flicked to Lauren, who was laughing with a cousin, and then back to me. He looked tired, angry, and for the first time cornered. It's Thanksgiving, he said, his voice low. Exactly, I replied. Today is about being honest and being grateful. We can be both in 10 minutes. Just get your card. We'll go to the drive-thru. Check the deposit details for the last few months. It will show the account that sent the transfers. You don't need the app. You just need the card. Cassie cleared her throat from behind me. I'll drive, she said. Lauren's laugh died in her throat. She had heard me. Her smile twitched. That's not necessary, she said quickly, walking over. That's crazy. Besides, the bank systems are down, remember? Not the ATM, I said, looking right at her. It's a different rail. It'll work. Most ATMs use a separate network from the bank's online systems, so I hoped it was still working. Mom and Dad looked at each other. A long, silent conversation passed between them. Doubt, annoyance, and then, finally, a tiny sliver of uncertainty about Lauren. Dad jammed his hand in his pocket and pulled out his wallet. Fine, he said, his voice heavy. Let's go. This ends now. I felt the plan click into place. Cold, clean, simple, undeniable. The evening air bit our faces as we stepped outside. The neighborhood glowed with porch lights and pumpkins still left over from late October. Cassie drove her old Subaru, and no one spoke. In the back seat, I scrolled through the email confirmations again, touching each date on the screen like a handhold. Mom stared out the passenger window, her reflection a ghostly shape in the glass. Dad sat beside me, tapping his thumb on his knee over and over. The ride to the bank at the end of Main Street was only 3 minutes, but it felt like a tunnel. At the ATM, the neon blue light of the screen washed over our faces, making us look like pale, anxious ghosts. Dad slid in his card and typed in his PIN. The machine whirred. He pulled up the transaction history. The screen blinked through menus. View more, transaction details. He found deposit details and pressed it with a careful, steady finger. July, he muttered. I leaned in from the back seat. The screen showed the deposit. Electronic transfer, $500. And beside it, from account ending in 5678. I read the last 4 digits out loud. 5, 6, 7, 8. They were mine. Dad didn't say anything. He just went to August. The screen refreshed. Electronic transfer, $500. From account ending in 5678. Then September, October, November. Each time the same masked number. The machine printed the slips at Dad's request. One by one, thin paper cards that felt heavier than they should. Mom's lips parted. She put a hand over her mouth. It's Michael's number, she whispered, turning to look at me. Her eyes were wide. His account ends in 5678. Cassie, in the driver's seat, folded her arms. There's your proof. On the ride back, nobody talked. My heart beat an even, tired rhythm against the seat belt. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel like cheering. I just felt like a man who had finally been allowed to set down a load he shouldn't have had to carry alone. We walked in through the front door into a living room that had gone softer and quieter. The extra relatives had left. The game murmured on the TV, muted. Lauren stood by the coat rack with her purse clutched tight in both hands. Her cheeks flushed and her bright, perfect smile completely gone. She knew. She saw it on our faces. Dad didn't raise his voice. He walked to the console table by the door and held up the printed ATM slips. We checked, he said, his voice level but loud enough to carry. Every transfer, every single one, came from Michael. Lauren blinked, then looked down at her shoes, then back up, her mouth forming a small silent O. For the first time that day, for the first time in maybe her whole life, I saw real, unmanaged fear in her eyes. The room hushed. Aunt Mary fell silent mid-sentence. And Uncle muted the game with the remote. Even the house seemed to hold its breath. Dad set the printed slips on the console table, right next to the bowl of keys like evidence on a courtroom bench. "You lied, Lauren," he said, his voice heavy with a new kind of disappointment. "You lied to us. You let us praise you for something your brother did. You showed us fake receipts." Lauren's chest rose and fell in a quick, shallow breath. Then she let out a shaky, terrible laugh. Too loud, too brittle. "Fine," she said, her voice cracking at the edges. "Yes, I lied. Okay. Are you happy now, Michael?" "No," I said. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just tired. Bone tired. "I'm not happy. I told you in July I didn't want attention for it. I just wanted them to be okay. You could have just supported that. You could have just been quiet. Instead, you took it. Why?" Her eyes flashed, the fear turning to a familiar, sharp anger. "Because they were never going to believe you over me," she snapped, the words finally tumbling out. "Ever. I thought, what's the harm? The bills were paid. They were happy. It got out of hand." "The harm," Cassie said from the doorway, her voice cold, "is telling a family that their honest son is a liar. The harm is letting your parents attack your brother on Thanksgiving." Mom's voice trembled. "We thanked you. We told people. We bragged about you, Lauren. How could you let us do that?" "I didn't think it would blow up," Lauren said, smaller now, her shoulders slumping. "Michael, I thought you'd just stay quiet. You always stay quiet." "That's the thing," I replied, the truth of it landing hard in my own chest. "You thought my silence belonged to you. It doesn't. Not anymore." I turned to the room, to my aunts and uncles, and I set my phone, now unlocked to the emails, beside the printed ATM slips. Here are the confirmations, month by month. If anyone wants to read them, please do. And please remember this moment the next time you are sure of a story. Lauren's gaze fell. Dad's shoulders slumped. Mom pressed a hand to her mouth, her eyes wet and shining. The cousins and aunts shifted, looking anywhere but at Lauren. The sound in the room changed. It was no longer brittle. It was just real. Justice didn't roar. It didn't slam a gavel. It just landed with a plain, certain thud. Lauren grabbed her coat from the hook and her keys from the bowl. "I need air," she whispered, and she walked out into the night. The door clicked shut. It didn't slam. Maybe that was the loudest sound of all. The rest of Thanksgiving unwound quietly. Mom put leftovers into containers with a kind of careful, mechanical focus like folding paper cranes. Dad rinsed plates in the sink, his eyes on nothing but the running water. I helped where I could, and then I just stood at the counter with Cassie, not saying much. Eventually, Dad dried his hands on a towel and cleared his throat. "Son," he said, and the word itself carried a weight I hadn't felt in years. "We owe you a real apology. We should have listened. We should have asked questions. We didn't. We fell into the old story. I'm sorry." Mom nodded, tears catching in the kitchen light as she finally looked at me. "I'm sorry too, Michael. We've put you behind your sister's shadow for a long time. That's on us. That ends now." I felt a tightness in my chest, a knot I'd been carrying since I was 10, loosened just a little. "Thank you," I said. "It's going to take time. For me to trust you, for you to trust me. But thank you." Later, after everyone had left and the house was quiet, I stepped out onto the porch. The air smelled like wood smoke and wet leaves. Cassie leaned on the railing beside me. "You did good," she said. "I did what was necessary," I answered, breathing in the cold air. "It shouldn't have taken a public trial to tell the truth." She nudged my shoulder. "Maybe not, but you didn't flinch. You didn't let them make you small. That matters." My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Lauren. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. But maybe it was a start." I typed back, "We'll talk when you're ready to tell the whole truth." Then I put the phone away. Here's what I learned that night. Gratitude means nothing if it's built on a lie. Family love isn't real if it asks you to swallow your voice just to keep the story pretty. And your silence is not a gift that other people get to open for themselves. If you're the one who keeps the lights on, you don't need a spotlight. But you do deserve to stand in your own name. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.